Welcome back to another episode of Generation Ochi. My name is American Ben.
And I'm Congo, the game dealer.
Oh, and yes, Congo's here too, checking me. Because yes, y'all seem to like the job he did in our Ochi intro video on Generation Films, in which he played the Ombudsman. So he's back today to nitpick. Anyway, today I wanted to dive back into Alice in Borderland because while we've done a review of the show and a breakdown of its characters, I feel like we need to do just one more video on its themes. Agreed, Congo?
Yeah.
Anyway, let us know if you'd rather us just cover anime on this channel and not live-action anime-ish stuff. Over the next few videos, I plan on covering the sci-fi anime ID Invaded, as well as the live-action South Korean thriller Sweet Home. And so speak up now if you'd prefer I not do any content on the latter. The ID thing is Congo's idea, so if you're against that one, then that's his fault. Okay, so on to today's video. First off, if you don't know what Alice in Borderland is, well, in brief, 3 nerdy dudes living disaffected lives in Tokyo go to the bathroom, and then somehow end up in a parallel Tokyo where they're forced to compete in a series of sadistic games in order to survive. Sorry, the second clause there, I suppose, was important to execute without a pause before it. The show is about a lot more than just hiding in toilet stalls, though, so if you want more general info about it, either watch our review of it on our movie channel Gen Films, or just, watch the show. Also, sorry to spend time doing this, but it's important that I repeat the warning I included at the start of the review video. If you struggle with depression and/or are easily bummed out by dark and violent settings, then as much as I want you to stick around so I can keep an eye on you, I don't think that this show or this particular video is for you. Be smart, don't ruin your day for a YouTube video, or you can just be like this guy and embrace the darkness. Okay, so if you've seen the previous videos we've done on Alice in Borderland, then you know that I posit that one of the show's overarching themes is, and I quote a great man, aka myself, the despair that human beings deal with in the silence of their minds while living amidst sprawling, materialistic metropolises, plural, designed to remove them from their more animalistic instincts. Congo, what's the plural for metropolis?
Let's see here. Here it is. Metropoli? Metropoli, I believe.
Anyway, yes, existential despair, for lack of a better term, is a major theme of the show. The show's characters are confined to a weird reality full of perils and madness. And as you might just now realize, you have no idea whether I'm talking about real Tokyo or the parallel one. And yes, Alice in Borderland wants us to question how much different the two worlds really are. And then of course it also urges us to ask the question, why do some of the characters actually fare better in the parallel reality where they must play death games than they do in the real one? Yes, there's plenty of overt themes and messages to explore, many of which are daring and controversial. However, today I want to discuss one of the show's themes that's just a touch more hidden than the other ones. Actually, I probably shouldn't use the word hidden because then as soon as I reveal the theme I'm talking about, someone's going to be that guy who's like, that's not even hidden, bro. So by hidden, I just mean that it underlies the plot, if you will. It's not an overarching theme. And so what is this theme I'm alluding to? Well, man versus nature, of course. No, just kidding. What I want to take a look at is how the show aggregates both the insane and the sane, the criminal and the lawful, the moral and the immoral together into a single category of outcast. What do you want, Congo?
Dude, that's not even hidden, man.
God damn it! Anyway, I began to discuss this theme a bit in the character breakdown video I did, using the relationship between Kuina and the last boss. As a reminder, Kuina is the seemingly dainty Harley Quinn-light sidekick of the Machiavellian schemer Chishiya, and the last boss is the katana-wielding psychopathic incel samurai who's somehow likable. Guys, back me up here. Anyway, in the character breakdown video, I explained how, while seemingly foils, the two characters have some things in common. Both characters, of course, have dark pasts. Kuina was spurned by her family and traditionalist community for being transgender, and the last boss was rejected in society as well for his, unnatural inclinations. Bloodlust, murderous urges, etc. Now, at first hearing this, some of you are probably going to be offended and you're going to be like, Ben, please do not compare psychopathic murderers with transgender people, and cancel button. But being offended is exactly the point. Alice in Borderland is bold here. It wants to make you uncomfortable. It wants to force you to have these undesirable thoughts. Now let me cool the air here by extrapolating on this dynamic a bit more. How about that, Congo?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. See, the show is not attempting to equate transgenderism with criminality. Rather, it's highlighting how conservative societies spurn both the transgender person and the murderer as if they are the same. It does feel wrong that someone like Kuina would find herself imprisoned in a world with a cold-blooded killer like the last boss. She doesn't seem to deserve to be there, while society would probably do well to exclude psychos like the last boss. And yet, here she is, condemned all the same. By the way, by conservative, I just mean traditional. Please don't apply American politics to my narrative today. I don't want the heat, and no, I don't want those hands. Anyway, perhaps the important question the show wants us to ask is, what are the consequences of treating the transgender community as a deviant subculture? Well, here we see Kuina end up among true deviants, because she was cast out of normal society. And I don't mean to harp on the example of transgenderism either. This dynamic works for more than just Kuina and the last boss. Not to trivialize the woes of transgender people, but there's gamers, for instance. The main character in the show, Arisu, is considered antisocial in real Tokyo because he's always lost in virtual reality. He's not actively engaged in the market or ambitiously climbing the corporate ladder. Alas, he ends up with the psychos in parallel Tokyo. And then there's Chota, who is on one hand religious, and on the other he's just kind of odd, most likely because of his unusual upbringing in some sort of cult. Chota is an outcast really only because he's weird. Think about it, what was your first reaction to him? You probably thought, this guy's different. And yeah, people often don't respond warmly to people who are a bit idiosyncratic in terms of their personality. And hey, I'm not condemning anyone for that. I know it's probably a survival mechanism. After all, you don't want Chota to boil and eat you alive. Additionally, Chota is physically and emotionally weak, and perhaps even more than for being weird, society will run you over and cast you out for not being an alpha. The truth is that survival of the fittest is still a dynamic in play in our society today, and probably always will be to some extent. What say you, Congo?
I don't know. Can we get back to anime?
Then of course there's Usagi, who's, you know, a climber, and well, that's not an endeavor of a well-functioning person. They're more like self-outcasts who expel themselves from the safety of society where they can hang off cliffs and stuff. Well, actually, in Usagi's case, her beloved father died and her grief has seemingly led her into the world of death games. See, as I've said in previous videos, pain is definitely a common trait among all characters who end up in parallel Tokyo. But a sub-theme of pain, and as I stated before, despair, is the theme of ostracization. Some of the characters in the show are people shunned by society for behavior that's universally accepted as immoral, and others are thrown out all the same for behavior and traits that aren't so clearly immoral, and in some cases are beginning to be seen as perfectly acceptable in many parts of the world. And Alice in Borderland lumps all of these people in together to fend for their lives in this hell world. And I suspect this is a bit of a critique on some of the more antiquated values rife in Japanese culture. The show has us conflicted and asking ourselves, in which society would each character fare better? Sure, Kuina has to battle murderous psychopaths in parallel Tokyo, but in real Tokyo, her own family has disowned her. At least in parallel Tokyo, she can use her martial arts skills to assert herself. In the real world, she's been completely excluded from mainstream culture, and karate skills aren't going to get her far. Unfortunately, since the advent of guns, martial artists have lessened in importance. Nonetheless, this is one of the more complex themes that Alice in Borderland confronts us with, and coming up with answers isn't always easy. Anyways, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it at least got you thinking, even if you disagree with everything I just said. Please do give it a like in any case, or if you enjoyed it, please do. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of everything I just said and Alice in Borderland in general. Please subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell. For now, my name is American Ben. Generation Ochi, peace.